Good to go.
Cool. Good evening, everyone. My name is Anthony Zeiton of the Planning Board, and welcome to the December 16th, 2025 Planning Board meeting. Tonight's meeting is fully remote, but there's a link on the posted agenda on the town website if you would like to call in for public comment. It is now 6:03, and the agenda is the following. Tonight is a public meeting continued to consider the preliminary plan for 0 Howard Street, map 37, parcel 13, 3-lot subdivision. And okay. And then do we have folks, the applicant in the meeting?
We have Justin Leclerc. And Steve Caravo, and maybe butchering that pronunciation.
Am I bringing them in or somebody else?
Anthony, normally Amy brings him in.
Okay. And so is Justin and who, I'm sorry? Steve?
And Steve.
Okay. Got it.
All right, can you guys hear me?
I do. And then
Perfect. So for the record, Justin Leclerc, McCarty Engineering, also with me, Steve Corvo, owner and applicant of the subdivision. So do you guys need to reopen it or am I good to just jump in?
yeah, I think so. Since our last meeting, you worked with the planning director with some
Yep.
comments, and I think there's been some back and forth on that.
Yep.
Lori, where do we sit with in your eyes in terms of the open items?
If you want, I can share my screen. I do have Lori's draft conditions that she did send over to me this morning, and I do have a response letter I put together addressing some of the last remain open comments from Lori as well as some of the various departments. So
Yeah.
give me a second, I will share. Can you all see that?
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Yes.
perfect. So for the ease of the board, I'll run through the comments real quick. A lot of them were either addressed, we acknowledge that we understand, we'll have to look at during the definitive process, and then there's a couple I'll stop and point out. So for the most part, through Lori's response letter, everything that we did, we acknowledged. Lori, thank you for updating the shape factor. We did submit a revised plan with the corrected numbers on it. Again, everything else through here was addressed regarding the pavement width. Again, we can coordinate with fire during the definitive if they're okay with the 20 feet. I know we show 22 on the plan right now. That was something at this time we weren't super concerned about, but again, we'll coordinate that with the fire department. The waiver regarding the sidewalks, I'll circle back to that. I know that's an open item on the draft conditions of approval. Then regarding the open space during the definitive, if required, we can submit a waiver request for this. I just want to go back and double check.
What number
Yep.
was that on?
Comment 11, the applicant should explain how the plans comply with section.
Okay.
So with this one, because it's a 2-lot subdivision, and I know I'm getting a little ahead of myself, but I know one of the members of the planning board had asked the OSRD regulations, how this project would work with that. I know in the email I received, you guys are looking at revising or taking a look at the OSRD regulations. So when I get to that email, I'll dive a little bit more into the open space here. Regarding the lights, we show two. We show one at the fire hydrant. We show one, call it the midpoint of the road. So that waiver we will rescind from the definitive process. The road name regarding Knox Trail, the consensus is we'll defer to both the planning board as well as the select board on the road name. The decision was to choose that name just based on the list given. I know a couple members of the board question on it. The name in our purview, we don't care one way or the other. We're open to if the board has a preference for a name, as well as the select board. Lori, do you want me to keep going or?
If you don't mind, I just
Yeah.
wanted to chime in on the street light. So I noticed that you put a street light at the mid-road length and then at the cul-de-sac. I
Yes.
was wondering if the reason why you didn't put one at the entrance of the cul-de-sac, is that because the light at the intersection of Green Street and Howard Street lights up the
Ye-
entrance? I
Yeah,
wasn't sure.
so we can shift this one a little bit, but the intent was that with the light at the intersection, some of that spillage will get to the entrance of the proposed subdivision road. And
Okay,
the other
did you
thing,
verify that? Because, I'm not typically there after hours, so I
yeah,
haven't driven by there, but I wasn't sure whether the light would extend all that way, because if it doesn't, my preference is that you put
move
that
it a
light
little bit
at the
closer.
intersection.
So, yeah. And I know typically with the lighting plans, when we submit the photometrics, it's 0.0 foot candles at the property lines. So whatever we would submit as part of the lighting plan would show the foot candles up to the property line. So you would ideally be at, call it 0, 0 right here, maybe 0.1. And then it's anticipated with the light at the intersection, that would make up the difference.
Okay,
Because I know with towns, they typically don't like to see spillage, especially into the streets. So that was why we pushed it back here, but we can shift it accordingly and as needed. So again, the name will defer to the boards and the town on if there's a preference. The lot one driveway is one of the other open items in the condition I'd like to go back to. So fire department issued an updated letter, again, acknowledged a lot of their comments were the same from the previous submission with a couple additional safety comments, which we fully acknowledge. One thing I'd like to reiterate, they did have a comment on the blasting. Again, we don't anticipate blasting to occur on this site. If for whatever reason blasting is required, appropriate permits filed with the fire department. General comments, everything is addressed here. We'll provide turning movements as part of the definitive to make sure that the vehicle access is adequate for fire department. And then everything else was the same, acknowledged as previous. The new letter was from the conservation agent regarding the project. Just to highlight the two things here would be, yes, we understand the stormwater treatment design, the permits that would be required, and conservation is the oversight authority for the permits. That'll be addressed in a full drainage analysis. Everything accordingly would be submitted to them. And then regarding the delineation, yes, we know there's a wetland adjacent. one shown here per GIS, and then one closer here shown per GIS. So understood those would be verified with a wetland scientist as a consultant, and then obviously any permitting that falls within their jurisdiction would be filed accordingly with the commission. Excuse me. And then this is the email received from the planning board. This one, number one, the street name. Understand the thought process behind the members' email here regarding the name that we chose in Ox Trail. The original name of Bentley was chosen just as a preference from the developer and his experience in roads and doing projects such as this. But again, we defer to the board regarding the name of the road. The scenic road, again, I'd like to discuss that during when we go over the conditions of approval. And then the OSRD, so just trying to get an understanding of the OSRD pertaining to this development. So typically with OSRDs that we see and we permit in our towns, it's more so for larger plots of land where you have multiple acres, you're getting a large subdivision development to come in. And instead of having the entire parcel as part of the development to account for drainage, really the lot size, the larger lot size requirements in towns with the right of ways and things like that, the OSRDs typically allow you to go to a cluster style development where the overall development is condensed, the lots are a little bit smaller, roadways, things like that. But the trade-off is that you get this open space beyond the developed area that is left open. So the idea of the OSRD works, but in this instance where we really, as a development, this is the entire overall area of the development, and where we're only putting in 2 lots, we already 3, so we have this one that's the frontage lot, and then 2 additional in the back. It really isn't conducive to do an OSRD for this type where we are limiting our development for the grading, but we're also giving that land to the single family homes, so they have yards and additional area they can use. The other thing is where this development is surrounded by a bunch of single family residents, there's no adjacent OSRD space that this could be tied to. So it's kind of, this one's a special case where it's its own little pocket. So that's really where the difference between your typical large subdivision development, an OSRD would be more beneficial for that type of project than the couple lots that we're proposing here. And then lastly was Northborough DPW. Their comments were pertaining to the design of the road. Right now, we show everything on the grading plan. The way that this is graded is we want everything drainage wise to come down to one side and come to the catch basin here. They're asking that we revise the design to your typical roadway where it's crowned in the middle and then sheets off to the gutter lines on each side. That's a revision that we can do where we'll crown it in the middle so water will come this way and this way as it comes down the cul-de-sac. It'll just mean an additional catch basin here, an additional manhole here to tie everything in, and then still convey it to the proposed stormwater basin. The hydrant location, we can move that pole accordingly between driveway openings and the hydrant. And then we can look at this during the definitive. Essentially, they just have a comment pertaining to the proximity of the proposed roadway and the existing, driveway for the single family home here. So again, the comments, we're satisfied with everything that was submitted back to us. We're okay with everything, either acknowledge or it's things that we can definitely take a look at as we move through the process. So this is Lori's draft conditions of approval. The only two items that she has highlighted here in red is condition 3 pertaining to the sidewalk and condition 6 pertaining to the scenic road for the driveway for lot 1. And to remind the board, that is, sorry, a little too fast. That's pertaining to the driveway up here. Now, we had talked originally in the first meeting, and the question was brought up, well, could the driveway come and tie into the cul-de-sac here? We're open to the idea of doing that. We would like during the definitive process to really analyze that, see if there's alternatives that we can do and bring that back in front of the board and come to some middle ground. So we're not opposed to the idea, but again, we would like during the definitive process to really iron that out with the board. And then pertain to sidewalk, while I'm on this plan, right now we currently don't show sidewalks on the road. I know there was some back and forth on if it should be, maybe it's on one side instead of all the way around. So at this point, I would ask the board what their feeling is regarding that waiver, and one way or the other. We would just like to know so that way going forward in the definitive, we can appropriately accommodate that into the design if required, or if not, we can take that into consideration in as we go and look at different aspects for the definitive. So I think I'd start there and asking the board their thoughts on condition 3.
Asking for the planning board, any thoughts on this? Besides sidewalk?
I mean,
Yeah.
there are no sidewalks. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Carter.
Oh, I mean, I was kind of just taking a look around kind of the area. I mean, I did when I was a little kid, grew up kind of just up the road from here, but I know, yeah, the nearest sidewalks, I mean, Valentine Road, which would be, I guess, 2 houses down, does have a sidewalk. And then Mohawk Drive, which would be up Howard Street from there, a few houses, does have a sidewalk. I mean, my question was going to be, is this in the Z School or Lincoln Street School for the school district? Was trying to think of, would people be like kids walking to school from here or something like that? And I was just kind of thinking of like long term, if any sidewalks could or would be added anywhere in these neighborhoods, that you wouldn't want this to just kind of be, without sidewalks, if the rest of it might be added in the future.
I think that, so I'm pretty certain this goes to Z. And I think Z has got a sidewalk up into, I don't know, both cemeteries.
Cemetery.
No, I think it
It goes to
Yeah. does it
Winter
stop
Street.
at- Winter Street, right.
Yeah.
I mean, to me, it would be nice to have, but I don't think, considering it's serving 2 houses only, I
Yeah.
just don't think it's necessary, in my view.
I would say, I'm sort of with Carter on this one. I think because there are sidewalks on the other streets, there should be a sidewalk here, because if they ever do decide to build a sidewalk on Green Street, what I wouldn't want is something that every other street, we want to make these the same. And so, if we're looking at keeping these the same, if there's a sidewalk on the street before it and the street after it, then there should be a sidewalk here.
Yeah, but those streets are they serve cut through roads and access. Like Valentine is a cut through, and it serves about 50, maybe 30 houses. And Mohawk Drive is the same way. So I think for 2 houses, it would be a sidewalk generally just for those people only. It's not like you're gonna go passing through this area.
So the one thing, I mean, and this is also, well, unsurprisingly, I was the one who was asking about the OSRDs. But because the Valentine Road sidewalk, that does connect to like the main sidewalk network of the town. So there would be a single sidewalk connecting from Valentine all the way to like the middle school, and even I think to like Algonquin even. And if you go from Valentine to Church Street, up Main Street to East Main Street to Bartlett Street, I believe there is a continuous sidewalk all the way to the high school.
The church.
I think there's segments of church, it's not.
But
Not till you
the
get to
segments
Pleasant.
from Valentine all the way to
It's Fay Lane. Yeah.
But anyway, like the one reason why I was kind of asking about the open space was because there are pretty, like, yes, they are single family lots, but they are also large amounts of open space lots, and this would be a very long-term thing. But I was kind of curious if like any kind of path easement on any of those, because Howard Street and Green Street are very narrow roads, and I'm not sure if sidewalks would even really be possible to fit on parts of those streets. The alternative, I think, would be to try to get some kind of trail or path easement on some of these weird open space areas of these weirdly shaped lots to try to connect paths to where there are sidewalks. So that's kind of why I was kind of asking if there would be any possible way to get some kind of future path easement that would cut through this property to possibly allow connections in the future.
I think that Lori, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no, have Lori go first, that by all means.
We've discussed a little bit.
I'm all set. I'm all set. I didn't
Okay.
have my hand raised.
No, I just didn't know if you wanted to comment on open space as it pertains to long-term and the town, commitments to it and what it meant to.
So as far as I know, like on the Complete Streets prioritization plan, we didn't have a sidewalk on Green Street listed. However, that doesn't mean that in the future, there may not be a desire to put a sidewalk on Green Street, especially as Green Street becomes more developed. Then there will likely be more of a demand for a sidewalk. So I for one, always like to see sidewalks whenever we can get sidewalks constructed by a developer. In this case, my argument is they wanted to have a 22-foot wide roadway. And my suggestion is to go down to 20 feet. So there would be some savings on impervious surface by going with a narrower street width that then could be applied to the sidewalk. So the sidewalk would be 5 feet wide. So it would be a slight increase in the amount of impervious surface. But by regulation, the street is supposed to be 26 feet wide. So actually, there would be a savings by having only a 20-foot wide roadway and a 5-foot wide sidewalk. You're still saving 1 foot over what is required in the subdivision regs.
So-
Steve, do you have a preference on this if you want to chime in? Because no, I think you're still muted.
All right, how's that?
Yep, we got you.
Yeah, so we'll do, whatever you guys want. If you want the sidewalk, we'll do it. We were originally thinking no sidewalk on the basis that this would be more of a private road serving two houses only and not invite the public down it.
Mhm.
That was really the basis of it. But whatever you guys want us to do, we'll do. If you want the sidewalk, we'll put it in.
And can I make a suggestion? If the board is leaning towards it, could I suggest that it's only, and we might have talked about this at the last meeting, but one side of the road? I think there was some discussion on, oh, it should wrap, and again, it's only 2 lots, so maybe that's kind of meet in the middle. Okay, we'll give it to you on one side, so there is something to get to the street, but we don't have to go full blown on a sidewalk for again, two houses.
My one recommendation is that you put that sidewalk around the entirety of the bulb of the cul-de-sac. And then you do an ADA ramp at that point. So at the throat of the cul-de-sac, you put an ADA ramp and then stop the sidewalk. So it would be only on one side of the length of the street.
Okay, so one side of the street, but the circumference of the bulb.
That's my recommendation.
I'm just curious, like, does it need to go all the way around if it just, like, would it just need to get to the two houses or?
Yeah, so and that's why I asked. My thought is, and I'm gonna show it up here because we have the light pole on the bottom. But this is your run of sidewalk, and then have a cross here, and then up and up. So that way you can get from the driveway to it, from the driveway down to it, but not in the middle because again, we have a hydrant, we have the light pole, that this wouldn't be conducive for a sidewalk. Was that kind of your thought process, Lori?
So my thought process is that you would go all around the bulb and then
Yep.
you'd have that ramp. So that way people could choose whether, particularly I'm thinking of folks who are like pushing baby carriages or like wagons, little kids on bicycles and the like. And it's nice to have the option of crossing at the narrowest point of the roadway instead of the entire gigantic width of the cul-de-sac.
Okay.
It's
So
just, I mean,
No,
this
so I
isn't
think-
going to be a thoroughfare by any means, but
yeah, and it's only 2 houses at the end of the bulb. So I think if the board's amenable to it, we can sidewalk on one side of the road,
Mhm.
and then during the next phase, we can iron out the details on how it should be around the bulb.
Yeah.
But if that's the way the board's leaning, I think that would be a fair middle ground. Steve, you on board with that too?
Yeah, I think so. I guess
Okay.
one of the things we wanted to explore in the definitive is like the size of that bulb right now is pretty large. So I kind of feel like I'm wondering if, depending on what the fire department's okay with, and if the planning board's okay with reducing the bulb.
so the important consideration is the tower, the fire department tower truck. So
Yeah.
if you could demonstrate that the fire truck can make it around that cul-de-sac,
Yep.
Yeah,
then you could go smaller, I would think. I'd
Yeah,
be
and that was
interested in
one-
hearing what the board members think.
Yeah,
Excuse me.
I'm fine with that.
I'm fine with
Yeah,
that.
and that was gonna be one of the things that we sit down, confirm with the fire department, make sure they're good with that. But the idea would be shrink this, we can go down to 20 feet per fire regs. And then this bulb, I have to run the actual truck turn to make sure it fits, but my thought would be maybe a 35-foot radius, shave 10 feet off of it. And then that would,
Another possibility is you could put an island in the middle. And you could even collect stormwater. So you could do like maybe a rain garden in the center of the cul-de-sac. So
so
you could reduce impervious surface and then, treat your stormwater at the same time.
I would rather not, and the only reason that we find is with the island in the middle, it looks good, but of course has to be upkept. But the other issue is when you put the island in the middle, the bulb tends to get bigger for the fire truck to get around because it doesn't have the middle area anymore. Now
Mhm.
it's really driving in a defined drive aisle in a circle. So we found those to be more of a headache, but where we could, again, shrink the bulb, say radius of 45 to 35, and then that reduces our impervious. That gives us more green space on the outside of the bulb to do more stormwater on that side. Still direct everything to a catch basin discharge as we show, but again, there's more that we can do on the back side instead of doing it in the middle and then trying to figure out the best way. Because even then, we would still have to, whether it's an under drain, something to discharge that rain garden in the middle. But that's something we want to go sit down with fire and get their buy-in, but also provide them a turn figure showing that, yes, your spec fire truck that would be servicing these two houses can come in, completely turn around and get back out and make a left. I know it's one of his comments, make a left or a right
Mhm.
in and out of Green Street. So we still need his buy-in on it, but I think that's something reasonable that we can do. And then again, we're shaving the bulb, call it 10 feet down. Well, now we have a little bit more room. We can make the sidewalk fit and avoid a light pole, a hydrant, make it a little bit more conducive to the site. So I think that's the way we'd like to go. And then obviously in the next step, hash it out with the board and make sure the board's bought in as part of the definitive.
Mhm.
I mean, to me, it would be really the fire department's call, is what my opinion would be on that.
Yep.
Mhm.
Yep.
I don't know, I mean, this again would be depending on the fire department thinks but like, depending on how you build the sidewalk, could the sidewalk, if it's around the cul-de-sac, like, can the fire truck drive on the sidewalk?
If it was bituminous berm, it could, the tires can jump that easily.
Yeah, we could look at doing that, and that's only in an emergency. The way we would do it is the fire truck could enter and exit and circle the bulb without having to jump the curb. So it would that's our conservative way. And then if they're really in a pinch, then yes, they can mount the curb and go. So regarding, so just to circle back to condition 3, my take is that the board would prefer to see a sidewalk in at least on one side. And then again, we can discuss the layout around the bulb.
Anybody comments from the board?
And that sidewalk would be maintained by the two houses?
Yep, same as stormwater. It would be as part of the HOA.
Okay,
Yeah, we still want to keep the road private, so that way it's under the HOA, maintained by the HOA. That doesn't change whether we put stuff in, take stuff out, move stuff around. It'll still be encompassed by the HOA.
okay.
And are you folks okay with the 20-foot wide street width?
So 20 feet is standard for fire protection, so we don't oppose it. Again, I think that'd just be as part of our conversation of looking to shrink the bulb and shrink the roadway. Just make sure fire department isn't going to push back. Because I would hate to get to that point. The board and us agree on it. It's a great design. Then fire department comes back and says, I don't want 20 feet. I want 22 feet. And then
Mhm.
we're back to where we started. So
They did already respond. I
Good.
got an email from them. I thought I forwarded it to everybody. Did you folks see that email?
I didn't see an email. I know I saw the letter. But if they're good with the 20 feet, we can shave off 2 feet on the road. That's not an issue.
I can read what they said. So I asked about the 20 feet, and Neil Espesi, who's the deputy chief, said the board's proposal is okay as long as the turning radius requirement noted in my review comments are met. Under the Mass Fire Code, the standard minimum unobstructed road width for emergency vehicles is 20 feet clear, curb to curb or edge to edge. No matter the width, the minimum turning radius requirements must be met. In cases there it cannot, an FD approved 3-point turn around the design is required.
So I think we're kind of reading into his comment about the 3-point turn a little bit and assuming that if we demonstrate to him that he can do a 3-point turn in a reduced bulb, that he might be okay with it, but we just haven't had that conversation with him yet. And we were thinking that we would do that. Because when a question came up earlier on about a hammerhead, and I think Justin might have mentioned, is kind of like when you put an island in the cul-de-sac, the vehicle has to be in a specific spot. And even with like a hammerhead turnaround, you got to have the front and back of the vehicle exactly in it, as opposed to if they would be happy with a 3-point turn in a bulb that's not as large as what we show right now. I think it's more functional for everybody, because then like Amazon, everyone gets deliveries now at their houses. So we want to make sure we have enough space for those type of vehicles to kind of get in and out of the cul-de-sac. But if they want to do the fire truck come in and out of the cul-de-sac without stopping and, backing up at all, it's going to drive a huge bulb, kind of similar to what we show right now. I think that's really what's going to determine it.
Yeah, and we've had other fire departments be okay with that. So again, that'd be something I could put the figure together for the fire department, send it over, or even go sit down with them and make sure that they have the buy-in to it. Or maybe it's not 45, maybe it's throwing a number out there, 38, and they can drive around completely, and it's at least smaller than what you're seeing here, but not as small as what we want, and it makes everyone happy. So as long as he's good with the 20 feet and he's okay with the reg, we can neck this from 22 to 20.
I think so are we good with this for now? One side is sidewalk around the bulb.
Mm-hmm.
They're gonna explore reducing the size of the bulb. And then also in terms of the driveway coming in from Knox Trail, they're still undetermined, which will be in the definitive, I assume.
Yes,
What do there?
Yep, but no, I'd like to sit down with Mr. Corvo and really hash it out, potentially come up with some other alternatives during the definitive for that layout. And one way or the other, show the board why or why not, and really have that discussion. But like I said, we are open to looking at it and trying to see if we can make it work.
I mean, assume if you did that, you'd probably have to flip the house in another direction, I guess.
Yeah, and that's some of the stuff we'd have to look at regarding the septic design, the grades, because that part of the site does climb up a little bit. Actually, if I go, so oh, come on. So the site does climb up about 10 feet through here. So the grading we'd have to make sure we can get the grades to work with the house as well as maintain the septic design and grading as approved and required. So there's a lot more going into it than just saying, yeah, we can flip the house, we can flip the driveway and make it work. But again, we're definitely we can look at it and see what we can do to make it work. And if for whatever reason we can't, at least bring those findings back to you guys during the definitive
Mhm.
and say, hey, this is really all we can do, and at least show you guys that.
Bill, do you have a comment?
Yeah, not about this. I want to review that basin that you have still.
Mhm.
Yep.
I'm really concerned that that is really close to somebody else's house,
Mhm.
Yep.
and sending all the stormwater from these two sites to that location. Is there a reason why you didn't put it in the back?
So again, trying to limit the amount of disturbance and work that we do. And trying to keep the development as tight up front as we possibly can was one of the reasons. I did look at this again. I think I had mentioned it at the first meeting when we started talking about this, was with the topography, everything comes down this way and the low point is back here in the corner. So we could look at spinning this
Mm.
and having it run. I don't want my markup on this computer. Turn the basin this way a little bit more so it does follow the natural grade. And then again, this would be a level spreader to help dissipate any potential overflow. But we still have to go through the full drainage design, make sure that the pre-post numbers work, that the basin is sized adequately for the 100-year storm, make sure that we don't have something that will overtop and flood the abutting properties. So this basin will be changed as part of the definitive design. This was put in as a representation for grading to give you guys an idea of what the stormwater would look like. But again, I think realistically it will be twisted, more angled to come into this natural topography and ultimately back into the wetland where it goes now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I thought that's what we had talked about, and then I
Yep.
saw this plan and saw that it hadn't changed. So that's
No, that was,
okay.
I didn't want to start guessing and trying and then give you guys a picture of a basin and then come back in the definitive and, well, that's different than the revised one you showed me. So.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep.
Yeah, I would chime on that as well, as I think if there were a way, and I know you're dealing with topology here, but if there were a way to pull it back into the, the back portion of the property and further away from the abutting property, I think that might be better
Yep.
for everyone.
Yeah. And again, to tie everything back in, I think smaller bulb, pull the road in a little bit more. We could pull everything up a little bit more, hopefully, and then get as far away from that property line as we can. And again, twist it, make sure we're directing the discharge away, and then make sure it's sized adequately so we don't have any any potential issues that from a normal storm event that we would have.
Thank you.
Yep.
Hey, Lori, would we take any public comment here if there weren't any?
Sure, it's not a public hearing, but it is an advertised public meeting. So I don't see anybody with their hands up, but if somebody wants to speak, certainly they can put their hands up.
Not seeing anybody either. Okay. So anything else from the board? Any other comments or questions?
No, that drainage home was really just going to be the one that I was going to ask about. So thank you for covering that.
Yep, no problem. And again, everything else that was in Lori's draft, we don't have an issue with. It is what it is. Like I said, the big thing I just wanted to make sure the board was okay with us reviewing lot one during the definitive a little bit more, and it seems like you guys are. So I do appreciate that.
Okay. Good. So I guess, so Laura, we can just move to motions at this point. Is that correct?
Yeah, and I can also modify the wording of number 6 to read the applicant should consider shifting the driveway for lot 1 so that it obtains its access via the proposed subdivision roadway instead of Green Street. Are you
Yeah.
okay
Yeah.
with that modified language?
Yeah, I think,
Asking the planning board.
all right.
Yeah, I think that's fine.
You said, and so I've got, you said 6. Do I not see that?
That's number 6. Yeah, in the conditions.
Oh, in the conditions. Gotcha. Okay. All right. Considering there's no other questions, so I think that, Lori, we just go right through the motions at this point. Do I have that? Correct?
So it's not a public hearing, so you don't have to close the public hearing. So
Right.
you can just go right into the motions if you'd like.
Fair enough then. All right, do I have a motion to grant a waiver from subdivisions section 10-36-050B1 to allow for right-of-way width of 40 feet?
So moved.
Second,
Second,
This is a roll call vote. Bill Pierce,
Aye.
sorry, Millie Milton
yes,
and Carter,
aye.
and I am an aye. And then do I have a motion to grant a waiver from subdivision rules and regs, section 10-36-050B3 to allow a traveled way width of 20 feet?
So moved.
second,
Second,
Okay, this is a roll call vote. Bill Pierce,
Aye.
Millie,
yes,
and Carter,
aye.
and I'm an aye. And then do I have a motion to grant a waiver from the subdivision rules and regs, section 10-36-060 to allow construction of a sidewalk along one side of the proposed roadway only? And that's it.
So moved.
second,
Roll call vote. Bill
Aye.
and Carter
Aye.
and Millie,
yes,
and I'm an aye. And then do I have a motion to grant a waiver from subdivision rules and regulations, section 10-36-080, requirement to set aside an open space area?
so moved,
Second.
Roll call vote. Bill,
Aye.
Carter,
No.
no, Ellie,
Yes, aye.
and I'm an aye. And then lastly, do I have a motion to approve the preliminary subdivision for 17 Green Street, map 37, parcel 13, as depicted on the plan entitled Preliminary Conventional Subdivision Plans, Knox Trail for Corvu Development, LLC, 17 Green Street, Northborough, Massachusetts, dated October 2nd, 2025, last revised December 8th, 2025, prepared by McCarty Engineering, Inc., subject to findings of fact 1 through 9 and conditions 1 through 20.
So moved.
Second,
Roll call vote. Bill,
aye.
Carter,
No,
and Millie,
Aye.
and I'm an aye. So this isn't a super majority, is right, Lori, for preliminary?
It's just a regular majority vote.
Okay, fair enough. So with that, I would say preliminary pass. Anything else we need to say about with it, Lori?
Nope, I just will need you, Anthony, to come in and sign the decision. So I will modify it per tonight's discussion, and then I'll email it. And as long as you're okay with it, you can come in and sign hopefully this week sometime.
Will do. All right. Thanks, gentlemen.
Awesome. Thank you very
Thank you.
much. Have a good
Thank you. Have a
evening.
good night.
Thank you.
Okay. Next on the agenda is a public hearing continued to consider the special permit per groundwater protection overlay district bylaw and site plan approval for 9 Goddard Street, map 17, parcel 9. And who do we have from the applicant? Right there, okay.
So we have John Sullivan, possibly the D52, I think that's Don,
They're all raising hands.
and Scott Harrison.
A couple that won't move over. Okay, one more. Okay, that should be everybody. Okay, so Laura, you provided conditions for this, I believe already. Do you have the document?
Yes. So there have been a couple of more letters that have gone back and forth. And they have satisfied the bulk of my comments. Any outstanding issues that exist, I included as conditions of approval. And I did send out, after I received Dawn's response, so I had sent out an email to her saying that when I was going through the submittal, I noticed that there were a few days in September where under the new scenario with the new employees, there would be a shortage of parking for everybody. So I had asked her what they would do in that circumstance, because of course, the preference is not to park on Goddard Road. And so she responded with what they've done in the past, and I included that as condition E. So I had asked for a parking and transportation demand management plan to be submitted prior to issuance of an occupancy permit. And that would kind of formalize what they're going to do. And one of the things that I was thinking about, and I didn't notice when I toured your facility a couple of times now, whether you had any bike racks. Is that something that you guys already have?
I think it was in the plan.
We do or did. So yeah, I think they're still there. And if not, we can certainly place them out in front of the entrance.
Okay. And then you had mentioned that you arrange for shuttle buses to hotels, but I was wondering if you might also be willing to do it to the commuter rail station that's in Westboro.
Potentially, do we have to be locked into doing that?
Well, my suggestion is that you prepare a plan. So think about what you can commit to.
Okay,
And of course, your proposal is to add more parking ultimately.
correct.
So this won't be an issue in the future, but it will be until you add that more parking. So
Sure.
so it's for that period of time before you construct the parking.
Okay, great. Yes, we've had some exchanges, and I think John Sullivan's on the line. We've had some exchanges with SGA, our architect, and their engineers, and they're going to help us put together a plan. Do you have a particular format that you need us to construct that plan in? Okay,
No.
Okay.
No, as long as it's something like official, we will do this.
okay,
Instead of having it just be like the email
right.
that you had submitted.
Okay.
So Lori, from your perspective, any open issues here, items that would prevent us from moving forward?
No, did Dawn, do you or John have any concerns about the draft conditions that I sent you?
So John, are you on the line? I think there are a few
I am.
items to address.
Yeah, just a language item, Lori, to ask a question about. I think the conditions are tied to an occupancy permit, and we didn't know if we could change that to say a final occupancy permit, just because there'll be some smaller efforts within the building to do some swing space, and there may be a need for like a temporary, like a TCO at certain points, before the full project is completed. So we didn't know if we could change that language just so that we'd be able to accomplish that.
Let me see. Yeah, is there specific things that you can do before you get a temporary occupancy permit?
I believe, yes, I think so. We just need to spend a little bit more time with the conditions. Like, for instance, one of the conditions is the master planning effort, which I think we're and Don, please jump in here, but I think Saint-Gobain is ready to do, but that may take some time.
Right.
So again, we just weren't sure about the timing of everything, and again, I think we can commit for the final occupancy, but if anything needed to happen to facilitate the project from a phasing standpoint, we just didn't want to get into a timing issue.
Yeah, one of my concerns is, in my experience, I have had folks that get temporary occupancy permits and never get final occupancy permits. So that is my concern. So usually in that circumstance, like I'm looking for some sort of performance guarantee. So, and it depends on what stage you're at. So if you've already built everything out, but you haven't supplied the certifications, then like how are you going to guarantee that you will ever do those things?
That's, yeah, I hear what you're saying. That's certainly not the intent. So maybe if there's language that, could work just to, again, give a little bit of flexibility around timing. I'm not sure exactly, and I don't know, Don, if Brian Falk is on the call or not. But again, maybe there's some language that can kind of safeguard against what you're, concerned about, but also just may allow for, some of those earlier kind of facilitation permits to be granted before we complete all of this work.
Can you put a time limit on the certificate, a temporary certificate of occupancy that has to be renewed?
Because we're only talking about, so you're already doing an update to the project. I'm only talking about your additions. So our permit doesn't cover your renovation project. It only covers your additions.
I'm sorry, Lori, I cut out for
Oh.
a quick second and I missed your last statement. So is that the worst time that could have happened?
So I know that you folks are working on a renovation project, a large scale renovation project.
Mhm.
So this decision does not cover the renovation project. It only covers the additions. So it would be like the occupancy permit for the additions only.
Okay, yeah. Yes, I think that should be okay. And I'm sorry, I have the conditions up here as we're looking at them.
I mean, if you want me to qualify it and say prior to issuance of an occupancy permit for the additions, would that help?
I think so. If that's
Okay.
if that's okay. And then I think we had another comment from Brian just about the need for the transportation, demand management plan, but I think that's what you had just talked about, and I think it's, we can classify or highlight, in a more formal way, what Don and team are kind of willing to do for the shuttles and other plans. So I think, Don, we've probably already covered that one.
Yes, I
if-
believe so.
If in that document, if you could talk about like what the triggers are for activating this management plan. So like, are there special events that you hold during the course of the year? So you'll know in advance when
Exactly.
you're gonna have like the maximum number of people on site. If you could highlight all of that in your document so that we'll know that, okay, when this happens, this plan goes into effect. Otherwise, it doesn't go into effect.
Okay, perfect.
Great.
Anything else, Lori?
No, I'm all set.
Any comments, questions from the board?
Oh,
Nope.
So this is a
I think
Carter.
Carter had
you said?
something.
Oh, no, I was just
Right.
wondering, so I just wanted to check, what are the criteria that we are looking at for the approval? I want to make sure I'm looking at the
We're
right
gonna, yeah,
thing, yeah.
so, and in the book, it's 768 is for groundwater. And then it's just a site plan approval criteria after that.
And so you guys know, the new zoning books are in.
Then click Add Extension to continue.
Weird.
Okay. So this is a public hearing. There's a couple people attending. Is there any questions from the audience? Doesn't look like it. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead. Do I have a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call vote. Bill,
Aye.
Carter,
Aye.
Millie,
Aye.
I'm an aye. Continue. So this is going to be a special permit site plan approval for when it's groundwater. And we can go through the criteria now. So concerning, I think this is groundwater. So after notice and public hearing and after coordinating, clarifying, and weighing the comments received from the special permit granting authority, may grant such a special permit provided that it finds that the proposed use meets the following. So the first one is meets the purpose and intent of this chapter and will not degrade from the purpose of groundwater protection overlay districts.
Yep.
Yes.
Will not during construction or thereafter impair ambient groundwater quality or reduce existing recharge capacity beyond the allowed per this chapter.
Yep.
Yep.
Will not adversely affect the quality of or the yield of an existing or potential water supply.
Yep.
Yep.
And then we get into site plan criteria. The decision criteria, the planning board shall approve a site plan if it determines that the following, the site plan meets all applicable requirements of this bylaw, given the location, type, and extent of land used proposed by the proponent and design of the building form, building location, egress points, grading, and other elements of the site plan could not reasonably be adhered to. So the first one is reduce clearing and grading on site or reduce volume of cut and fill, the number of removed trees, length of removed or altered stone walls, the area of wetland vegetation displaced, the extent of stormwater flow increases from the site, soil erosion or threat of air or water pollution. Any concerns?
No
Nope.
concerns.
Reduce the risk of groundwater contamination from on-site wastewater disposal systems or operations on the premises involving the use, storage, handling, or contaminant of hazardous substances. Any concerns?
No concern.
No concern.
Good.
Improve pedestrian, bicycle, or vehicular safety both on the site and egressing from it. Any concerns?
I had a question on that one. Because I know I was asking about like improvements to walkways and stuff like that. And I think at the last meeting you were saying because like when you're expanding that for future things that more of that would be taken care of, and this is a smaller one. Is there any like way to kind of just like, I don't know, like kind of put in there that like making sure that something like that happens within a certain amount of time? Just because, I mean, it's because I know the Goddard Road has sidewalks now, and I don't think they really connect to the building. And if you're doing work on the site to make sure that safe sidewalks and crosswalks on the driveways connect your building to the sidewalks of your road, which I don't think you need to do immediately, but like, I feel like that should be done in the future anyways.
Is that something that could be addressed in the master planning update that is part of the conditions? That could propose a plan for that as part of the future master plan or future, campus improvements?
Are you referring to the on the road or on the campus itself?
On the campus itself, yeah. To to basically make it so it is safe to walk from the sidewalk of the road to the building. I mean, yeah, to me that the master plan part of that makes sense. But
Yeah, you'd have to determine how you're gonna cross the parking lots. And what their master plan is. We don't really know what that is right now.
but yeah, I'm just my only point is just I'm just if something happens and this is the last like thing done for 20 years, I don't want to just leave it with a parking lot that's not necessarily like easy to cross forever. Like, yeah.
I know they will be coming in for site plan approval for their new parking lot that they plan to construct across the street. So at that time, of course, our parking lot regulations require pedestrian access from the parking lot to the building. So that would be a good opportunity for them to install walkways that connect Goddard to the building. So you're on notice that that's going to be required.
Okay. Yeah, I'm just with that condition on there. I just want to make sure that we're aware something kind of should be happening before we give it the okay.
Just for clarity's sake, I think what I'm hearing is if we have defined walkways that go from the sidewalk across the parking lot to the building, that should be sufficient, correct?
Yeah, I think I'm looking at the aerial photo, which I can actually share my screen. So it's my understanding of what Carter's saying that he wants walkways that go alongside this driveway that connects to the parking lots and ultimately into the building. So you have a walkway right here. Can you see my pointer?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So you would do a walkway that connects this sidewalk to that sidewalk. Is that correct, Carter? Is that what you're
Yeah.
saying?
Yep. Again, I'm if there's future things happening, it can wait until then. I just wanted to kind of make sure if those future things don't end up happening, that there's just kind of that's something that would improve the safety of pedestrian access to the site.
Yeah, it would be great, to your point, Laurie, if maybe rather than doing it right now, we do it when we incorporate the other crosswalk associated with the parking lot across the street. Is that possible?
I think so. If you just something that you can have this on your radar for when they walk.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Carter, you good?
Yeah, that's fine.
Thank you.
Next one is improve access to each structure for fire and other emergency service equipment. Any concerns there?
No concerns.
Nope.
Reduce visual intrusion by controlling the visibility of parking, storage, or other outdoor service areas viewed from public ways or premises residentially used or zoned.
No concerns.
Achieve greater consistency and compatibility with the surrounding area as to building design or scale or site design.
Yep.
Yep.
Reduce glare from headlights, reduce light trespass from luminaries onto adjacent lots on the street, or light overspill into the night sky. Any concerns?
No concerns.
No.
Avoid the removal or disruption of historic, traditional, or significant structures or architectural elements.
No concerns.
No.
And reduce obstruction of scene views from publicly accessible locations.
No
No.
concerns.
Anything else, Lori, from on your plate that you'd like to add? No? Okay.
Nope.
So with that, so we close the public hearing. Second here. So do I have a motion to waive the requirement for a traffic impact analysis per planning board rules and regulations, section 7.271A, due to the limited scope of the project?
So moved.
Second,
Second,
Roll call vote. Bill,
aye.
Carter,
aye.
Millie,
Aye.
and I am an aye. Motion to grant site plan approval per section 7-03-050A 1B and a special permit per groundwater protection overlay district per zoning bylaw section 7-07-010D3 B5 and 6 to allow for the replacement of the facade of building 1, construction of 3 additions totaling 22,655 square feet, and associated site improvements on the property located at 9 Goddard Road, map 17, parcel 9, subject to findings of fact 1 through 16 and conditions A through K.
So moved.
Second,
Roll call vote. Bill,
Aye.
Bird,
aye.
Millie,
Aye.
I'm an aye. And with that, I think you are approved. Thank you.
Phenomenal.
you.
Thank you. We really
Thank you very
appreciate
much.
it.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Good luck on your
All right.
project.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank
All
you. Have a good
Take
night.
care. You
Appreciate
too.
it.
Bye-bye.
Happy holidays, everyone.
You too.
Same.
You too.
And do we have any A&Rs, lot releases, or bonds?
We do have a performance guarantee. It's a cash performance guarantee for Ignatius Common Drive. So I believe we have possibly, well, we have Charlie in the audience. I believe he's here on this matter.
Okay.
So I did provide you with a cost estimate that I received from our consulting engineer, Chapel Engineering. So they provided a list. They did an inspection last week, I believe it was. And they prepared a list of outstanding work and a cost estimate, which included a 20% contingency. So it's my understanding that the developer is interested in getting occupancy permits, so the common driveway is not yet complete. So I had suggested to them that they provide a cash performance guarantee to ensure the satisfactory completion of the common driveway in exchange for getting the planning board approval for the occupancy permit. Of course, the building inspector issues the occupancy permit, and the decision to issue the occupancy permit has to deal with a whole bunch of issues that are with other departments, not just the planning board. However, this is the main issue that would hold up the occupancy permit from a planning board perspective. So, Charlie, do you want to chime in about where things stand in the construction process?
Good evening. Thanks for having me. So we have accomplished, basically the road is basically done other than the top coat. All the drainage is done on site except for basically lot 3. WDA has finally submitted the septic plans. I believe they were downloaded, I think, on Friday. We applied for a permit and review process today for lot 6 and lot 3. Once that is approved, we intend on pulling building permits immediately and getting going on the wall and that last piece of drainage on the site. We could not do that until the septic plan was designed and completed, so that if there was any changes to be made, that would be made before we installed the drainage system.
Okay.
Did you want a timeline from there, or?
I think that would be helpful. I'm curious about your time frame.
All right, so 83, so I'll go by lots. I'm not sure if you know the house numbers. So lot 4 is built and ready for delivery. Lot 5 is weather tight, all rough, plumbing, electrical, HVAC is complete. We expect to start insulating this week. Delivery would be early spring. If we can get the permit, we're hoping to get a permit for lot 3 sometime in January. We will dig in to get going on that immediately and deliver that middle of summer. We do have a potential buyer for lot 6 that is designing a home. Once that home is designed, we'll price that out and potentially have that under agreement. If all that plays out, we look to have this whole subdivision built, sold, and completed for the fall.
So you intend to put the top course of pavement on in the fall?
The very last thing that you do on any site would be the top coat, just because of heavy equipment and trucking. You want to deliver a site with perfect asphalt. So that would be, yes, that would be the last thing that we would do, would be to clean any and all catch basins, pave it, and we'll be done.
And your stormwater, the balance of the stormwater mitigation infrastructure, would that go in the spring?
Everything is, like I said, everything, all the rest of that is in, other than the last one on lot 3. And then as far as the mitigation, setting up cleaning protocols and whatnot, once lot 3 is completed with the drainage, then we can start having companies come in, price out, and come up with a management system for that.
Okay.
Because right now, nobody wants to bid on it without it actually being installed, so they have a actual visual.
And Lori, do we have a time constraint? I know I've brought this up before on the ending of that final top coat, because obviously we don't want to be in a situation where we were before, where the top coat didn't go on for 10 years and they had to do a whole new road.
Yeah, well, generally, I believe you didn't install your binder until, what was it, last year?
Binder was installed last year, correct? Yes.
Yeah, so we have plenty of
Around
time.
last summer.
Usually a binder course can be down for 7 years. And then it needs to be repaired or replaced at that point.
Right.
So are you saying you want to put a time limit on the completion of work?
Yeah, because what happened before was the agreement was, this is another situation, but the agreement was that they couldn't get a certificate of occupancy in the last building until the top coat was down. The top coat didn't go down for almost 10 years, maybe even longer. And they had to build a whole new road. And the last person to buy the property basically was fighting that they had to pay for the road that they hadn't yet used.
We could develop an agreement that specifies a timeline for completion.
Yeah.
What would the period of time be that you would want it to be completed in?
I don't know. I guess I'm not that familiar with how that might go, but if there's something we could put in that sort of prevents that situation from happening.
Well, I guess I wonder, how is that going to be enforceable unless we actually just,
So we do have a cash performance guarantee.
right, so
So
then it's our responsibility then, right? Which I'm guessing we'd rather not do.
So the way it works in subdivisions is they do have a specific period of time within which to complete the project. And if they don't, then the town takes the money and completes it themselves using that performance guarantee. So the town would hire a contractor to complete the common drive.
Right. So I guess that's kind of your end date, I would think, right, Millie? And so we've got a cash bond in place that they'd probably like to get back.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I don't know the timeline that would be reasonable, because I don't want to, to put in 6 or 7 houses and you don't know what the economy is going to do, but at the same time, I don't want the last person to have to, to get a house, to have to basically put in a road.
Well, Lori,
That
you
would
said that
happen.
the binder could be down for 7 years, right?
Yeah.
Okay,
So if we make it like 5 years,
that
right?
seems reasonable to me, but reevaluate in 5 years.
That
So
seem
are you
reasonable to
saying,
everybody.
are you saying that, so 5 years from now, it's top coat's still not down, we're gonna execute the bond and then finish the job? Is that what you're saying?
Right.
That's
Yes,
typically how it works. Yep.
yeah, okay.
Is there a clock, Lori, in terms of when you would, use that bond and complete a job? Like, is there a start and finish? Is there a year, 5 years, 10 years normally, or? I thought
Well,
that's-
usually it's the deadline, so there'd have to be an agreement that goes along with the performance guarantee. They would stipulate the deadline. And then if the developer doesn't meet the deadline, then the planning board would have to take a vote to take the performance guarantee and go out to bid to hire a contractor to complete the job.
And how do we get notified that these performance guarantees are due up? Because I don't believe we've ever had one since I've been on the board.
So, we just have to keep an eye on the period of time. So of course, this is cash. So this is his company's cash, and it's a sizable amount of money.
Mhm.
So I'm sure he's not going to forget about it.
Right.
No.
And that's part of the reason why I asked for cash instead of a surety bond, because surety bonds expire when people stop paying on them. So, it's good for a year for sure. And then after that, you can lose it. And I have seen circumstances where the bonds expire and then there is no performance guarantee. But with cash, it's sitting in an account with the town. And so we absolutely keep track of that. So our treasurer keeps track of that money. It does accrue interest. So the developer would earn interest on that amount of money.
And if they
And
were
then when the job's done, he just petitions the board to release the money, and then he gets the money back plus interest.
And if the developer were to, the business were to fail, do we still have a hold of that cash, or does that go back to their assets?
We would keep a hold of that. So if he were to sell the property, then we'd have to see what the provisions were, whether the new property owner would get that performance guarantee, or whether they would have to put up their own performance guarantee. But certainly, I wouldn't release the performance guarantee until I had a new performance guarantee. So he could get his money back when we have money from the new property owner.
There's a $20,000, almost $20,000 contingency on here. So I'm sure that the builder would like to get that money back as well, so.
There's also a little extra buffer. We still have a $59,000 earthwork bond out there as well. So there is a substantial amount of money left for that. And we would only be looking at a small portion of that because once we start lot 3, first thing that we do is there's a retaining wall and that drainage system has to go in before I can even put the driveway in. So that would put us at the end of the day, it would literally just be top coat of pavement would all be left once we're just about done with lot 3. So we'd be just about done by late spring, summer, as far as just needed top coat, and we'd be able to work our way out.
Does that work, Millie?
Yeah, it does. I don't know the cost of what it would be for a top coat to finish that, but you
Roughly
know,
$28,000.
okay, we're good then.
All right. Well,
All right, so if you want to make your motion conditional upon the receipt of an agreement that specifies completion of the improvements within 5 years of endorsement of the agreement.
fair enough. With that, do I have a motion to accept a cash performance guarantee in the amount of $108,948 to secure the completion of the common driveway and associated improvements as depicted on the plan entitled Site Plans for Common Driveway Special Permit for Brant L. Viner and Margaret Harling, 85 and 95 West Street, Northborough, Mass, Worcester County, dated November 20th, 2020, last revised May 3rd, 2021, prepared by WDA Design Group, completed from 5 years from the signing of or approving of this performance guarantee. Does that work?
Sure, so subject to acceptance of an agreement that stipulates completion within 5 years.
Okay. Go with that.
So moved with amendments.
I wasn't gonna touch that one. Second,
This is a roll call vote. Bill
Aye.
and Carter,
Aye.
Millie,
hi.
and I am an aye. Thank you. Looks like we're good to go. Thanks, Charlie.
All right, thanks for having me. Have a great night.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Thank you.
Okay, I think the next thing we have is not on the agenda, but is a request for the fire station. And Lori, keep me in line here. But they want to keep working through a couple holidays. And we need, is it a waiver from us or just approval?
Yeah, so it would just be essentially your agreements that it's okay. So there is a condition in the decision that says that they can't work on legal holidays. And Martin Luther King's Day and President's Day are legal holidays. So normally what I would do is I would just ask the chair if it's okay, but because we had a meeting tonight and she was going to be busy, I figured I'd just ask you folks if it's okay.
I'm sorry, what was this for? I didn't catch that one.
So this is construction of the new fire station. So we have a condition in
Oh.
the planning board's decision that
Yeah.
says that they can't work on legal holidays.
Yeah.
And they wanted a waiver, like an exception to that condition for those two holidays specifically.
And it was Martin
So
Luther King.
if you're okay with it, if you could just take a vote and then I'll just send along a letter to the building inspector and the fire department, letting them know it's okay or letting them know that it's not okay.
And it was Martin Luther King Day and what day?
President's Day.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah. I'm fine with it.
So I have a question. So are the people who are working those days going to get extra pay for working holidays? Like time and a half?
I would assume so.
And what is that going to do to the budget?
I can't answer that question.
Yeah, it sounds like a select board question.
Yeah, well, that's my concern, right? I'm a little concerned approving something that's going to increase the budget of the fire station that everyone has been complaining about the budget on.
And so
I
is it,
feel like for those 2 days, it would be fairly almost insignificant.
Depends on how many people they have working there, and keep in mind they're being paid prevalent wages.
Mhm. They're being paid that either way.
Right, but now they're getting an extra half of
Mhm.
that prevalent wage. for the
Mhm.
time they work on those holidays.
Lori, is this something we could approve and then kick it over to the select board, or just for a secondary approval?
Yeah, we're not approving the budget of it, are we? We're just approving the condition that we put on it.
Or does anyone know? So I guess what was the reason why we had put that condition in place? Just to make sure we know that.
It's in the zoning bylaw.
Yeah.
That, and so we just articulated in our decisions so that, you know, most people aren't looking at the zoning bylaw, so that it's clear to whoever sees the permit that these are the limitations.
And so is it because it's behind schedule, so they want the 2 days to, is that why they're
Yeah, I
asking
think
for
they said it was
or-
because they were cold, they've had extra cold days,
Okay.
Mhm.
and so they need to make up some time.
Yep, that's exactly it. So I think, I don't know, Laura, I need some input. What's your thoughts here? Is this some approval, or do we need a secondary, somebody to, just because it's budgetary, and I guess if it is, I can't imagine it significantly increasing costs, but I mean, it is a valid point.
I mean, can we approve it and yeah, just trying to think how to word the approval.
You know, we're not, we don't have anything to do with the payment of the contractors, so I would not include any language about how they're being paid. It's totally out of our jurisdiction.
Right.
I guess my other question is, do the people who work there want the day off, or do they want to work? I mean, I don't want to make people, they were thinking they had a day off, and
I would imagine these guys are union and folks are union, so they probably have that option, I would guess.
They have criteria already.
Well, that's why, that's why I asked, right? Was because all of my people that work for me at the MBTA are all union.
Mhm.
And so, I understand that, that's probably in their contract as to how much they're going to be paid.
Mhm.
In our contracts, it's actually 2.5 times their salary if they work a holiday.
Mm.
So, it is a significant amount of money if you open it up for a day or two. That's where my concern came from. Like I said, I don't want to be approving something that then somebody else is going to come back and say, well, now that they worked this time because the planning board approved it, now you have to pay for it, right after the fact.
So we've got a month.
I didn't say we didn't say they had to work those days. We just opened it as an option.
So I
We're
imagine,
just releasing it from saying they can't work those days. That doesn't mean they have to work those days. They could
I
work a
guess
Saturday if they wanted to.
I think the monetary component of it is beyond our purview, but I understand the thought here. But, if anything, if it could just have the visibility it deserves, maybe that, and I don't know if it's just the town administrator or, the building committee or the select board to, chime in. I don't know. Are we making too much out of this, Lori?
Well, yeah, like I said, I mean, it's not the planning board's purview to keep an eye on the bottom line, I suppose. So there's the building committee, and then there's also
So, and I have to
fire
imagine that-
department, the finance director. So there's a lot of eyes on that side of things.
I would imagine, especially because there's such scrutiny over the budget and what's being spent, that they're going to know that these days have been approved. And if there's somebody whether it's the building committee, select, or town administrator, whoever, decides that they don't want anybody working, they can probably stop that. We're just allowing them, giving the go ahead.
Right.
But yeah. I think
We're just releasing the condition that we put on it,
Okay.
but
and
not
somebody,
saying you have to
somebody's gonna
actually-
know, and somebody who should know will know, and if they determine that it's not cost or it's cost prohibitive, I'm sure somebody will hit the brakes on it.
So I guess that's my next question. Has this question been asked of any of these other committees? Or are we the first ones?
That I don't know.
Well, my guess is that we might be the first, because I'm not sure that they would want to discuss it if it wasn't going to be approved.
I mean, as long as we know that, you know, the building, the fire station committee or the select board is going to review this as well, then I'm fine with it. But if nobody else is going to review it and we're the only ones giving an approval, I have a real problem with that.
Yeah, I mean, I guess for me, I don't have a problem with the approval or the release of the condition.
Would it be possible, Lori, just to say, we put it up for vote, I'm guessing it's gonna get approved, that a letter goes to the town administrator, just has eyes on it, so if she decides that some other action has to happen and she can do that? Does that make
Yeah,
sense?
what I could do is, if you folks vote to approve it, I could CC the town administrator on the letter that I send to the fire department. How's that?
Does that work?
I'm
Sure.
fine with that. Yep.
I guess, I mean, just the one other question, which I'm not sure we even really have an answer to, but because I'm guessing the reason why we have these rules is partially just to, because we don't want too much noise or traffic with construction on holidays. Martin Luther King Day and President's Day, I'm not really aware of anything major happening, but just if anyone does know if something that was going on in that area on any of those days, that this would be like cause an interruption to.
I don't think we have any like parades or anything in town for those particular holidays.
I hope not. It's February.
I have to work both those
I
days,
hope
so that's all I know.
Yeah, generally people, the reason for this condition is to give the abutters a break when they have a holiday, like particularly 4th of July or Christmas or,
Yeah.
any of those Thanksgiving holidays where you may have company over and you don't want to listen to blasting and, all the noise that's typically affiliated with construction. So
Mhm.
that's generally why communities put a requirement like this in.
All right, so with that, do I have a motion to approve construction work on Martin Luther King Day, which is January 15th, 2026, and President's Day, 2/19/26 on the fire station?
Anthony, can I make a suggestion on the motion?
Yes.
So can we make a motion to remove the condition
Yes.
instead of allowing it? I don't want to say that we allowed it. I want to say we
Okay.
removed the condition.
Do you really want to do that though? Because that means that they could work on all of those other holidays. So they could work on the 4th of July, they could work on, is that really your intent?
Just for these 2 days.
So we can say
So you
remove the
don't want to
condition
remove
for
the
these 2 days.
condition. Yes, you're just allowing it only for these days and that's it.
Yes.
So are we removing it? We're not removing it.
Removing the condition for these 2 days.
Okay. Do I have a motion to move the non-work condition for the fire station on Martin Luther King Day on January 15th of 2026 and President's Day, February 19th, 2026?
So moved.
Second.
So roll call vote. Bill?
Aye.
Carter?
Aye.
Millie?
Aye.
And I'm an aye.
Didn't think that was going to be the hardest one of the night, did you?
You never know what's going to get caught. You know?
so next up, we've got minutes, November 18th. And Amy has asked for us to hold off on December 2nd. She hasn't had an opportunity to look at those yet. Has everyone been able to read November 18th minutes?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
I have a motion to approve
Oh,
November
I just
18th.
have one point I just wanted, because I mean, I had sent some amendments, but I also was noticing both on these minutes and the last meeting's minutes, the YouTube link was just for the YouTube channel. And I just want to check, and I mean, if there's a reason why it was like that, or that we probably should put the link to the video recording itself. Just
I did speak with Abby about that, and she's fine with just putting it to the specific meeting. So she'll be doing that from this point forward.
Okay.
And I'm not sure how long those videos will be active, but at least for the next couple of years, they will be.
Mm-hmm.
And if they're not active after that, then of course the minutes will be. So.
Okay. So with that, do I have a motion to approve the minutes for November 18th, 2025?
So moved.
or as amended, or
Are they? Sure, as amended.
Second.
Roll call vote. Bill,
Aye.
Carter,
aye.
Millie,
Aye.
and I'm an aye. And then do we have any subcommittee updates?
I do from CPC. We received an application for a redo of the softball fields at Milliken and the baseball fields, and projects for $300,000.
Carter, Bill, anything?
Well, these are updates from the open space meeting in November, which we haven't had the time to do these updates since. But I know, yeah, we are sending out some letters to some property owners, giving them, well, the Sudbury Valley trustees are sending out letters, giving them more information about options to protect and conserve property. We had some discussion about the B-Walt Trail project, which I believe I remember all the way back then, it was, we had, did we send some grant or something that we requested? Sorry, this was now several weeks ago.
You haven't filed it yet, so that's something that
Okay.
I'm gonna be working on for submission in February. So I'll be going back to the Open Space Committee and asking for a support letter.
Okay.
Of course, I would also be happy to have a support letter from the planning board, but we can talk about that next month.
And then we did send a support letter for the Blake Street project after lengthy discussion. And I think that was mostly it. I want to say, yeah, I think that was just about the whole meeting. So.
Anything from you, Bill?
Traffic safety, we are making 2 recommendations to the select board, reducing the speed limit on Crawford Street to 25 miles an hour, the entire length, and reducing the speed limit when you're coming in or out of town on Church Street from, I think it was like 122 Crawford, which is around where that pole that keeps getting hit is, into the center, reducing that to 25 miles an hour as well. And that actually came from a resident, that request.
I'm gonna get a ticket every day. I'm not even kidding you. I go through that 400
What
times
is
a
that?
a
What's the
ticket every
Church
day for
Street
me.
change?
Church Street, there's a pole there. Lori, is it at Colby? I think it's Colby Street at the corner of Colby that keeps getting hit like every 3 to 5 years. And they've been
John-
wanting, they've been
Yeah.
talking about putting up like a guardrail there or some other way to protect the pole.
There's a
And-
slight curve.
Right. And
Yeah.
people have a tendency to be, distracted or
Distracted.
and hit that pole.
Yep.
So so we're gonna try to reduce the speed limit there. And then obviously the one on Crawford Street was another resident request. I think everyone has read the stories on that one. So
Mm-hmm.
so we'll be going in front of the select board. I'll be going in front of the select board sometime in January in one of their meetings to make those recommendations.
I had a CMRPC meeting early November. And it was just a presentation. The committee received $1 million grant to develop a reduction in green gases in metro, like the central part of the state. So that's what they presented, and it was, just a plan at this point. And basically, I think it's going up for the next 25 years, if I recall. And it's where they're, talking about solar farms and bike lanes and planting more trees and things like that. So that's about as much as I remember of the plan, but that's what happened then.
What was that committee?
Central Mass Regional Planning.
Oh, was CMRPC. Okay.
And then the next meeting, Planning Board, is January 6th, and then January 20th. Do we have anything on January 6th, do you know, Lori?
We do not. So I don't have any applications for January 6th, so we'd just be talking about zoning.
Oh, that's right, we got to do zoning still.
Mhm.
I promised to put together the fence bylaw finally.
And hopefully Carter and I will have the data center one worked out. We're close.
Good.
Hmm.
Next ZBA meeting is January 13th. Next master plan is December 18th. Anything else from anyone?
The January 13th meeting, we do have an application for a fourth bay on a garage for a single family house on Rice Street, on Rice Avenue. So it's a variance application, and that's it.
So it's a fourth bay on a single family house?
So they have a single family house with a single bay currently, and they want to build a brand new 3-bay garage. So our zoning bylaw only allows a total of 3 bays for a single family house. So they would need approval to do the 4th bay.
Interesting. All right.
They have a lot of vehicles, apparently.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, well, with that, do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call vote. Bill, sorry,
Aye.
Carter,
Aye.
and Millie,
Aye.
and I'm an aye. Good night, everyone.
See everyone next year.
Good
Yeah.
night. Happy holidays.
Have a great
Have a good
holiday.
vacation holiday.